respect money, don't you get old and be broke.
Yeah, it's bad.
But I want people to listen to what I'm saying. It's not a good look. You play with your life all you want. And it's worse now. We're about to see something we've never seen before. And it's coming. And if you didn't respect money,
Right.
if you didn't respect your health, you're done. I don't know how to say it. I read a lot, and over 80% of this country don't even have $5,000 in their bank account.
I saw that.
You saw that, right?
Yeah. What was like, if you have like 10,000 and no debt, you're in like the top 80%, 85% of the country.
10,000.
10,000 with no debt.
So y'all see the title of the video. I'm going to get right into it. Now, I'm going to start this off by saying if you broke, please turn this video off right now. And it's not even about just being broke as in you don't got no money. I'm saying this. If you one of them people who think that money not everything, that think that money is the root of all evil and money is overrated and people put too much into money, and if you're one of them people who try to downplay money, this video is not for you, unless you just want to hear some facts that you can't even deny. So, now that I got y'all out the way, what I want to say is this. People need to start taking life more seriously. Just like the video that I posted in the beginning. You don't want to get old and be broke. You don't want to be 55, 60 and still having to work. And I'm sorry to all of the people out there who is older people who might come across the video who still have to work, who it's unfortunate, but you know yourself that you will want to tell people you probably made some bad decisions in your younger years when you was 20, 30, 40 or whatever. So you know that some of that is on you for the most part. You might have went to jail, prison, or got out, or you might have just been somebody, a guy who was on child support, chasing women, or you could have been a woman who had a bunch of kids or whatever, or you could have just been a lazy person. But you know that you don't want to have to be working, especially doing something that you don't want to do, like working at a fast food restaurant or Walmart or something where you, or a job where you're on your feet all day. Now, if you're working, of course, people in their 50s, 60s still work, but it's doing something that they love to do, running a business or something like that. You shouldn't have to be doing manual labor in your 50s and 60s. And I'm one of the people, I look at it like this, is that you shouldn't be in your 50s and 60s and still broke and still not having no money. Because it's like, what was you doing in your younger years? What did you do when you was 20, 30, 40? Like, what was you doing all this time? You never thought about when you got old, you never not wanted to work, you never not wanted to struggle. And when I say this, the importance of money, but people who try to downplay money. And I love when people say money is the root of all evil. No, being broke is the root of all evil, because when you broke, you do the most evil things. Think about most crimes come from people who broke, people in poverty. A lot of majority of crimes has to do with money. That's what fraud, scamming, stealing stuff from stores, breaking in people's house. All of that comes from the lack of money and needing money. And most people, which are what I come to realize, as somebody who grew up in the hood, and I have a job to where I interact with a lot of rich people, go to a lot of rich people houses, and over the years just communicating with a lot of people who have money. Like they say, rich people is the nicest people majority of the time. Yes, there is some rich assholes, and that's what they'll be. They'll be assholes, think that they better than everybody. Yeah, some of them, but for the most part, most rich people, or most people who not even rich, most people who life is together, they're not mad all the time. Most of the people that you see that's mad all the time, always angry, is because they hate their life. And I always say that all of the time, because they hate their job. They wish they don't have enough money. They probably might be somebody who got kids, and they kids stressing them out. They a single parent, single mother, it's always usually them type of people. It's rare that you meet somebody who got it going on and they mad or angry. It's rare that you would ever see that. And that comes and that proves my whole point that being broke is the root of all evil. 'Cause I guarantee broke people, and when you broke, you think about doing the most evil stuff. Take it from somebody who been broke in this life, who been homeless before. And when I was at my most evil when I was broke, trust me. So, proving the point of the importance of money. Cause I thought about it like this, and some people might have already thought about this, but since you a kid, why do we go to school? We go to school to learn and to ultimately grow up, to get a job, to get into the workforce, to make money. As an adult, you work, think about it. You work in 8, 10, 12 hours. It's only 24 hours in a day. And then you're supposed to sleep 8 of them hours. But most of us don't get 8 hours of sleep. Most people probably get like 4 hours of sleep. So let's think about it like that. If you do get your 8 hours of sleep, then we cutting it down to 16 hours in a day. If you work at 8 hours, that's half of your day gone working to make money. If you working 10, 12 hours, you working over half of your day to make money, then you at work. That's why a lot of people who work all the time, and we notice it feels like your life is in the loop. And that's be the biggest problem with people keeping a job and people staying steady in a lot of jobs. I don't know if they noticed or you thought about it and they thought about it this way, but this is on the flip side, the benefit of the doubt that you have to give some people there. And we all know, but burnout is real. That's why jobs technically try to give you vacation time and sick time and all of that. And they expect for you to call off every once in a while. Every job has to expect for their employee to call off every now and then. They just hope it's not every week or all of the time. Because you just going to work, waking up, going straight to work. And then a lot of people, and I've been in that loop to where your schedule is like, as soon as you wake up, you have to get ready for work. So you really don't have no time to do nothing else. That feel in your life feel like it's in a loop going over and over again. But why is that? Because you got to work. It's all come down to money. I'm pretty sure I don't even have to keep using the analogy. Y'all get what I'm saying. Most of our life is dedicated to making money. Like they say, half of our life is spent sleeping and working. If not more than that, because like if you a workaholic or somebody who really trying to get to it, you gonna spend over half of your life working and sleeping. So, and that's why I say that to say people need to stop downplaying money. And like the title say, them bills not gonna stop coming. I'm telling you, until you die. It's always gonna be utilities, even if you pay off your house, which we know most people not lucky enough to pay off their house. Majority of people paying rent or a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage. Think about that. Most people got a 30-year mortgage. They're paying on the house for 30 years of their life, and they can't afford to miss 3 payments, or their house can get taken. Think about how crazy that is. And the same for rent. If you miss a couple rent payments, you're on the streets. So it's like you can't even afford to fall off. You have to be in steady then on top of all the other bills, utilities, gas for your car note, insurance. We know like all of the bills that you have. And then everybody, which is messed up. What I always said this is that it's messed up that if you work full-time job, you should be able to live. And that's always the messed up part about this, that I understand, like a lot of people say, people do work full-time and work their ass off and they still can't afford to live because it just stuff that's cost too much. The government should have made it, or it should be like, if you working full-time, you like your rent should be paid, or your basic necessities, food, especially like I feel like everybody should get a bridge card because that's what our tax dollars is paying for. Nobody should, if you have a full-time job and you paying taxes, you should be able to get a food stamps or a bridge card to pay for food. Something like that. Like my point is that regardless of what the job is, because that's what other people say, well, you shouldn't be working a shitty job, but then we still need them jobs though. So that's the messed up part about it. You say that, like, get a better job, but then if everybody thought like that, then there wouldn't be no McDonald's employees, there wouldn't be no fast food workers, there wouldn't be nobody at Walmart, like there wouldn't be employees. So we need people at them jobs technically. And I'm not saying that they should be rich or a millionaire, but they should be able to at least cover their basic expenses, is what I'm saying. If you got a full-time job, you should not have to worry about being put out on the street. Now, if you blowing all your money and not choosing to pay your bills, we know that's a lot of people problem. People would rather go out to eat and just do all stuff. They don't prioritize their bills first. We get that. But if you somebody like you paying your bills, but like it's just not the income that's not matching up. Like people always been saying is that inflation not matching people pay. Like the cost of living doesn't match it, doesn't match the wages, is what I'm getting at. And that's the only thing that should really change. But getting back to my point, regardless, we unfortunate that's not reality. So you got to figure out how to make it. And what I'm gonna say for this, some of everybody not dealt a good hand. Some of y'all, and this is what I be saying, if you rich or you have rich parents or you grew up nice and wealthy, or you have parents where you grew up in a nice neighborhood, you don't gotta, cause when I say rich, I throw that out and people just think of millionaire, billionaire. I'm not saying that, even six figures, even making a decent income. Y'all know what I mean, like you well off, basically. Cause my whole point of this video is that, like they've been saying, the middle class is going away. It's either you poor or you rich now. It ain't no in the middle. It's no more in between. Because the in between people is just basically the people who live in paycheck to paycheck. The people that, okay, you have a house, you have a car, you living, but if you lose your job, then you poor now. That's basically what the middle class is. The rich is basically people who they can lose their job and they'll be okay for a good amount of time. Like they probably, like they got savings or they make passive income. We just gonna say that that's the wealthy rich people that's making passive income or got a high net worth or savings. So, but most people fall in that middle class. Most people can't afford to lose their job, is what I'm getting at. So you got to look at it like, if you got rich parents, you need to thank them because you don't have to deal with the stuff that most of us who didn't have rich parents or parents that was well off have to deal with. All you have to worry about is not fucking the money up. Like that's what I would say. That's all rich kids have to worry about, is not getting on drugs, not becoming an alcoholic, and just chasing your dreams. If you got rich parents or your parents got money, let's say you like to paint, okay, open up you an art store or art museum, or figure out a way to market your art, pay for marketing, or you could pay a celebrity to market one of your paintings or something like that. Like you got the resources to chase your dream. If you want to be a doctor or lawyer, your parents got the money to send you to college to do that. All you got to do is just study and get good grades and be disciplined. And you could be a doctor or a lawyer easily. Like if you rich, all you got to do is try not to fuck stuff up, and then you do have to find something you passionate in and go for that. But then there is some rich kids like we don't never talk about who literally had to do nothing, and because some kids, you gonna take over your family business, so you don't even have to worry about nothing because you gonna take over the family restaurant or store or whatever it is. Like your life is more set up, and that's why I say, if you got good parents and your parents got money, y'all don't understand how good y'all got it, because y'all don't have to deal with the stress that people that's on their own or basically got to do everything themselves or can't depend on their parents, that they have to deal with. Because if you somebody who a lot of us is, you was born behind the eight ball, you was born in the hood, or you were just born with parents who had low income, or maybe you was raised by a single mom or whatever, you gonna have to make good decisions. This is because I'm not making this video just to tell you get money. I'm telling you how to do it. If you, like me and a lot of people, your life have to be dedicated to making good decisions. You can't just be fucking off life, and that comes down to this, like you can't be having a bunch of kids, man or woman, because like I always say, to me, a lot of people gonna disagree with this. You gotta avoid having kids young. That's both men and women because we know. Well, I always say that kids is for rich people. Only rich people should be having kids. I know people disagree, but like I said, I keep saying rich people who have money, people who well off. Let me just say that because we already know that kids is the number one cause of death. They say that we know that kids is expensive and kids prevent you from taking chances. I heard a few people say this, and it is true. Like you not when you have kids, you're not able to just start a business or move to another state, like like or quit or try to get a better job because you have to think about your kid and you don't want to lose that stability. So having kids can set a lot of people back from chasing their dreams, especially women, because y'all gonna have to take care of the kid majority of the time. Especially if you're a woman, like you don't have somebody who can watch the kid, like it stop you from pursuing a lot of things. We know a lot of women didn't go to school because they had kids young or they had to drop out because they had to start working and taking care of a kid. So we know that having kids, especially in poverty, it holds you back. And that's the number one thing. Like you should realize assess early. Like I always try to speak to young people watching this. If you know you growing up in the hood or you know you didn't come from a family with money, then by the time you're a teenager, it's not hard to know if your family got money or if you're a rich kid or not. It's not hard. If you got you can look at your house, what your parents drive, and easily be able to tie that together. Then you can look at what your parents do. You know, if your parent a doctor, like by the time you probably 16, 17, you can kind of get a good grasp on where your parents is financially. Especially if you somebody who got a car at 16. No, it's not normal to get a car at 16. And like I said, there's level to this. You don't necessarily have to be rich as a millionaire, but I'm saying you shouldn't be broke, struggling, having kids is what I'm saying. You need to avoid that mistake. Obviously, you need to avoid going to jail or prison. That's the next thing, especially for men. You gotta avoid, especially young, because when you're young, you don't fully understand the consequences of your actions, and that be a big thing when it comes to young people. That's why they kind of give young people more leniency, but young people at all ages still get life in 20, 15 years. And you don't want to lose that out your life. Because even if you in the real world, let's say you struggling figuring things out, it's still better than being in jail or prison that whole time and becoming institutionalized. At least if you out, and that's what I'm about to get to next, and you working a 9 to 5 or you going to school, you building something for later versus in jail or prison, you're not able to really build nothing. You able to work out, but that's about it. But and read and stuff, but you're not able to build money. That's what I'm saying. So want to avoid kids going to jail or prison. You want to avoid the biggest thing, and now this is a big one because the two I just named is obvious, but this is a big one that a lot of young people need to hear, which I needed to tell myself also when I was younger. Don't be lazy when you young. And that's be a problem with a lot because when you young, we quit jobs all the time. We don't take jobs seriously. We hate jobs. We want to just have fun. And I'm telling you that if you take having money and a job seriously younger, you will be way more happier when you in your 30s, 40s, and as you get older. Like they say, you can have fun now and pay later. You like the saying go, laugh now, cry later, basically. And that's what it is. If you just spend your 20s just all having fun, not holding down the job, especially if you're not getting a degree or in college, like you just basically fucking off your 20s, chasing girls like a lot of us did in our 20s, just chasing girls. I'm guilty of that. That's in my early to mid 20s, or you a girl and you chasing boys, or you want to party, go to the club all of the time. Like it's good, like I say, you is supposed to do that when you young, but you better figure out that balance and not just go overboard. Or and then a lot of young people just be lazy, like playing the game all day. I was one of them at a certain point. Just want to watch TV or play the game all day, like stuff like that when you young, and I'm hoping y'all listen to, like I know that it's hard because I was the same way, but trust me, you will thank yourself later. Because if the younger you start getting to the money and the younger you start working, because like I said, even if you work in a regular job, a regular, let's say even my first job was like Home Depot or Lowe's, like something like that. Or even Walmart, or even less, we can even take a fast food place. If you stay there and then over time you still gaining experience, because it's all about experience that you can take on and take to a next job and take somewhere you can even be like, let's say you work at a fast food place. The smart people work at a fast food place for years and figure out how it works and then try to open up their own fast food place or start one, stack their money or take out a loan or whatever. And they end up opening up their own restaurant or figuring out how stuff is ran. That way you can either start your own business or you can move up in the company. That's what all experience is for. Because like career job, like if you working at, like I said, a Home Depot or a Lowe's, I'm pretty sure Walmart and any big companies like that, you working for, it's always positions that you can move up, get raises. That's why, especially when you're young. Now we're not talking a teenager. As a teenager, any job, like if you still living with your parents, you might be going to college too, you just trying to figure it out. That's different. But when I'm talking about once you get into your 20s, the earlier you start to gain experience, because obviously I'm gonna tell you, get a trade. Like people say all the time, become a barber. Barbers always gonna make money, and barbers make good money. Like think about it. When I start thinking about it, like barber, like my barber, I'm like, he charged $20 and now it's $30, but an hour, I mean to cut heads or whatever, to cut hair. And he be doing like two, three, four people in an hour, depending on who it is. So I'm like, he at minimum, he doing two people an hour. So I'm like, that's $40 an hour right there. Off rip. And then that's all day, especially if you got clientele, like that's $40 an hour. And like I said, minimum, if you could squeeze a line up in and get an extra 15 or whatever, that's what $55 an hour. Think about that. It's like that's money. Or become an electrician. People always gonna need electricians. Or think about like, of course, jobs that people gonna always need and jobs that you can move up and it's always gonna be money there. And that's why they say being a truck driver, a lot of people we know truck drivers make a lot of money. Like there's a lot of jobs out there if you start early and start learning, like be like let's say you're an electrician or a plumber, you have to be an apprentice first. So do that when you're young, or be a mechanic. Mechanics always gonna make money, and because people always gonna need their cars fixed, regardless of what the car is. Like, and we know mechanics charge crazy amount. If you anybody who got their car fixed, you know that the labor be crazy. That's why getting your car fixed costs so much. You know they be charging $80 an hour type stuff, $100 an hour, like to work on your car. That's why it be so much. The parts don't never even be that much. It be the labor. So start like develop something like that, and then like they always say, a lot of people don't have a earning problem. They got a spending problem. So once you do that, you go to work. Stop always calling off, leaving jobs, because this what I learned is that even when you work in a shitty job, if you work a job long enough, you will accumulate money. And you go in every week and you get a paycheck. In the beginning, it might seem like all your money gone, but that's because you paying bills and you probably messing up the money. Also, we all know, especially when you're young, you getting money, but you blowing it. You out to eat, clothes, shoes, like your money is going somewhere, and we all know this. So that's what it come down to, is that you is in control of what you do with your money. Gambling, some of y'all gamble, like a lot of stuff is self-inflicted. Like they be saying, I'm not one of the people who make excuses and cry. Like this video is not that. This video is to tell y'all to get it together and toughen up, because ain't nobody coming to save you. So I understand that completely, that a lot of people, a lot of stuff is self-inflicted. It's not all the government. And like I said earlier, I did used to choose like people should be making more. If you work in a job, you should be able to at least pay for your necessities and stuff like that. I do agree with that, but then I do also agree that a lot of people do make money. They just spend too much, keeping up with the Joneses. We already know how that stuff go. And then, like they say, you can ball now or ball later. And there's a lot of people who ball early who had money blew it. And we see that a lot with athletes and people who, and that's why I always say I never wanted to get money young, because I always said this is that me personally, now I know I'm contradicting myself because I just said rich kids, y'all got it good and y'all should hug y'all parents, but I, I'm just it's just my personality is that I want to make my own name and I don't want to be a trust fund kid. Like it's like you do what they say is true. Why rich kids kind of get looked down upon are people who got to inherit this or whatever, because it do hit different when you did it yourself. When you the one that had the grind versus somebody giving you something. You know, like you always gonna appreciate something that people always gonna look at it better when you work for something or got it on your own versus somebody handed it to you. But in your defense, like I said, I would rather uh it been handed to me to not receive it at all. That's the thing. Like if I had to choose, like not having nothing at all, or somebody handed it to me, I would rather have it handed it to me. But I'm just somebody who believes that I can get it on my own. So, but that's different. But in the case that you somebody, oh, what else was I about to say? Also, people who, man, what was I about?